Folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, of all the things that we as preppers feel that we need to get ready for, the various different possible scenarios that we've all outlined in our minds of what could happen and why we needed to prepare ourselves. One of the things that many of us don't really consider as a threat, or it's certainly at the, towards the bottom of the list, and that is the possibility of America being invaded by a foreign enemy, actually having troops on the ground on U.S. soil. That's just something that many people just don't consider will ever happen. In fact, it's just kind of been a long-standing belief that America is kind of invincible when it comes to that no one would dare do it, that because it's just impossible. They just can't put troops on the ground in the United States. But there are things happening that may change that. And while I'm not making any predictions or anything, I do want to present you with some stuff that's going on that you're probably not going to find in the news unless you're really digging around. This is stuff that's out there, and I think it should be something to be concerned with, because I think it at least, if nothing else, opens the door to that possibility of being invaded or having a much more real threat right on our border. So stick with me today, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. I do want to mention once again our Prepared Homestead Expo that's coming up at the end of May, 26th and 27th. Sorry. You can go to preparedhomesteadexpo.com and find out all about it. It's a free event for families. There's already several hundred people that signed up, and lots of vendors and speakers and stuff. If you would like to be a vendor or speaker or skills demonstrator, maybe you're a YouTuber, and you'd like to come and set up, please consider doing that and get a hold of me through the website. There's an application, or you can just contact me and we can get you set up for that also. But that is at the end of May, preparedhomesteadexpo.com. We'd sure love to see you there. And while you're at it, you probably should subscribe to this channel, because that's a good way to stay on top of information about that if I make any more announcements. So if you don't mind, that little subscribe button down below, you can click that, and you can hear updated information on the expo and all the other stuff that we talk about and do on this channel. Now let's get on with this. So in case you didn't know, and I suspect many don't because it's just not something that's in the news right now, Russia is seeming to make some closer friends. They've always had a decent relationship, but definitely building a closer relationship with our neighbors to the south. That's right, Mexico. Mexico is one of those ones, and this is nothing against any of the people from Mexico. I've been very close friends with many, so please don't ever think my talking bad about another country is also including the people from that country. That's not it at all. Mexico is one of those ones that a lot of bad stuff comes from it. We have a lot to deal with, and yet we seem to always try to have a somewhat, good, cordial relationship with them. But it also seems like they're trying to build a relationship with Russia, and most likely China through Russia. I'd say that's just how it's going to go. And we're seeing that with a lot of other countries south of our border. In fact, a lot of the countries south of our border seems to be siding with Russia and all of these sanctions and everything instead of the United States. In fact, Mexico is doing that almost publicly, not quite. Their claim is that they are neutral. They're trying to keep a neutral stance, but they're sending a mixed message. And a lot of government officials here in the United States and other people believe that they're cozying up to Russia, that just the things that they're doing. And I'll show you at least a couple examples here in just a second. For one thing, they voted to decline on the vote in the United Nations for expelling Russia from the Human Rights Council. Now, you could say, well, that's just a neutral stance, but I think a lot of people have seen that otherwise. They have also announced in the last few weeks that they're forming a new friendship committee, which I'm not even sure exactly what that is, but apparently that it's to build a closer friendship with Russia. And the general of NORTHCOM, Northern Command, spoke before a Senate committee just a couple of weeks back, letting them know that Russia has more spies located in Mexico than any other country. And when you take all that in and consider the fact that our border is virtually open with Mexico, and it's even going to be more open here soon because the people at the White House have decided to drop Title 42, and most of you know that, which means come the end of May, there's going to be an even bigger influx. Our own Homeland Security Department has said that there could be at least 18,000 people a day illegally crossing the border, and are expecting up to 500,000 in the first 30 days. And I would like for someone to tell me how our Border Patrol agents are going to be able to control that. They're not. That's just the truth is. They're not. They're already overwhelmed. They're already absolutely overwhelmed. Anyone that knows anything about the border will tell you that. I guess our solution is to give them cell phones and pay for expensive apps on their cell phone, but there's no real solution other than shipping them all over the country and dispersing them in various different neighborhoods and localities. How many of them are going to be foreign adversaries? How many of them are terrorists or spies or something else when we allow our border to be open this way? We're seeing this relationship build. And like I said, it's not just Mexico. Mexico just happens to be the one on our border. But certainly several other countries, Latin American countries, are buddying up with Russia. And it's very possible that we could see a reverse scenario of what's going on currently in Eastern Europe with Ukraine and a few other countries that border or closely border Russia. And Russia doesn't like that. And now it looks like Russia's going to do the same here with Mexico. How will America, and I've said it, and I've heard other people ask, how will America react if Russia works out some deal that they can build military bases in Mexico, or they can even place missile systems in Mexico? How will America deal with that? How will you deal with that? I mean, how will that affect you? Some of you may be fairly close to the southern border and may even be some of the ones that's going to be affected first. The fact is, though, if this continues to build and relationships with Russia and China grow, and the possibility of Russia, China, and Mexico developing close relationships, we could actually be looking at the old movie Red Dawn and thinking it's more prophetic than we ever thought it was. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things happening there, and our media just doesn't want to talk about it. And I think it's something that we should be concerned of. Well, there's other things. I mean, sure, we get fruit and vegetables and things like that, and they do some manufacturing in Mexico. But there's two other things that are going on, or one thing going on with two other countries. Let me spit it out. Mexico is the #1 producer in silver on the planet. Okay. And we're already seeing how Russia and Ukraine and China, there's a lot of commodities going on there that are being either taken up or controlled, or possibly taken up and controlled, depending on how Ukraine will fall or work out. By Russia and China. And Mexico here now, they have the world's largest silver supply. They're the biggest producer. And it's interesting, another country which is the second largest silver producer is Peru, which has recently elected a communist leadership. And we've seen over the last week have fallen into food riots and looting and other types of very violent riots over high food prices, high gas prices, and high fertilizer prices. Well, they're the #2 silver producer on the planet, and so that's interesting that we've got these valuable commodities that seem to be underlined somewhere when all these battles and potential wars are going on. Silver is a very underrated, man, I'm having a hard time today, guys, and I'm sorry. Underrated commodity. There's many people that think it should be worth in the hundreds of dollars an ounce, and that it could be worth well over $1,000 an ounce. If you're interested in buying some, you don't have a good local person to buy it through, there is a link down in the description below of a company that I use and trust, and they've always treated me real well. But the point is is that as this is all developing, and we've all talked about this, and I think most of you are going to agree with me on this, at least based on the comments in all these videos, is that there's a whole lot more going on than just Russia and Ukraine. There's something bigger going on behind the scenes. And now we're hearing, with what I'm talking about today, that Russia and Mexico are buddying up, building friendship committees, placing spies in their country. And America, our response is to open the border even more and allow pretty much whoever they want to send up through the border. You cannot tell me, and I've said this for years, you cannot tell me if Mexico really wanted to, they could stop people from crossing the border. They absolutely could. They could, if they were our real friend, they could most certainly do a lot more to stop people crossing the border. And I think that they don't care. I think that it makes them a lot of money. I think the number one income, the number one source of income in Mexico is actually United States money being sent back to Mexico. If I'm correct on that, it's in the top 5 at least. So they certainly enjoy that American money coming across their border. But would they also enjoy seeing America kind of take a bigger hit? And if we're going to start seeing 18,000 people a day cross the border, that becomes a much stronger possibility. In the end, I think that this is something to be concerned with all the things that's going on. I don't think that there's any sign that I see that shows that Russia's really going to back down. I know there's been stuff in the news that, they're kind of considering ending this soon, and maybe the 1st of May, maybe in April, but I don't think so. And even if they do, it probably will be just for a while. In fact, today there's news coming out that Russia is looking to call up around 60,000 reservists and recruits to populate the troops over in Ukraine, to add to the troops. And so I don't think that there's any sign, at least that I see, any real clear sign that they have the intention of this ending anytime soon. I would not be surprised if they don't expand this even more. I think probably the first target's going to be Finland, the way Finland's been acting. But it's quite possible that we could start to see an even closer relationship with Russia and Mexico, because it looks like they're already forming the foundation of that. And that may be something that you and I need to be a little bit more concerned with. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but depending on how things go with our own country and economy and other things involving international wars, could we see a day where we actually could see, an invasion across our southern border? Is this paving the way for that? I don't know, but I do think that you should be concerned with it and should do what you're doing about everything else. Continue preparing and getting your house in order, folks. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.